Today, let's talk about retroactive jealousy, that special kind of hell you put yourself through when you imagine your girlfriend's sexual past. I'll address this to men. Women can get something out of this video too, but YouTube has about as much women as a Rush listening party, so we'll stick to the man's perspective. The scenario is you meet a girl and you find out she used to date somebody who's a lot cooler than you are, and it bothers you to imagine them together because you're thinking, well, what can I offer this girl? She used to be dating this guy, right? Similarly, you meet a girl, and as the clues come in, you begin to realize that she may in fact have a body count that would make Wilt Chamberlain blush. So how do you work through this kind of jealousy? We'll first go through 4 key aspects of it. 4 key aspects of retroactive jealousy to first get clear about what it is. The more clear we get about it, the more we'll be able to work through it, to process it, and we'll learn exactly how to do that by the end of this video. And we'll go through that together. So stay with me, and we'll have a gay old time. The first thing to understand about retroactive jealousy is that it serves you in some way. I mean, most guys will claim to hate their retroactive jealousy. They say they want to get rid of it, but the truth is it's serving you somehow. Please consider that for a moment. If you've repeatedly felt retroactive jealousy or any other powerful cocktail of emotion for a while, it helps to understand it as something that helps you, that benefits you in some way, if for no other reason than to just stop resisting it. Maybe retroactive jealousy is a way for you to feel connected. It's how you keep a relationship exciting, feeling exciting, because you are, in fact, boring. Or it's a way to feel important, to get caught up in the drama of it, to obsess over because you have nothing going on in your own life to obsess over. Maybe feeling retroactive jealousy is just your way of feeling like a cuck loser beta. It doesn't have to feel good, only familiar. And when you criticize yourself and feel small, then you don't have to try. You don't have to feel the pressure of effort, right? I mean, it's a sick sense of satisfaction, like eating a tube of raw cookie dough. It doesn't, it tastes good, but by the end, you're going to feel like a fat idiot, and that may be just what you're going for. As much as retroactive jealousy hurts, it is not the issue, the rage, the intrusive thoughts. These are the symptoms. It's not the neurosis. It's how your neurosis presents to you based on your repressed content on your weak boundary. If the retroactive jealousy was in fact the issue, then you'd be able to decide to not have it, to not be jealous, right? To not have intrusive thoughts. And a philosopher can tell you about why jealousy and obsessiveness are wrong. But if you know they're wrong, or at least if you know they're annoying and you cannot stop it, then by definition, it is a psychological issue. Retroactive jealousy is the noise. It's not the signal, to borrow from, tech bro parlance. And everybody loves to talk about their noise. It's a great distraction, as if the, noise wasn't a distraction enough, but it really feels like you're doing something, to talk about all that noise. And that's therapy culture, it's a riveting story about what's going on outside of you. True growth, however, is a boring story about what's going on inside of you. That's your signal, which is your feeling and how you manage it. Stay tuned for a totally sweet and awesome breakdown of that. So retroactive jealousy, it is the fever, not the virus. Something that nobody really talks about when it comes to retroactive jealousy is that it can be legitimate. I mean, we have jealousy for a reason. When the guy she's been with who triggered the jealousy is despicable to you and your values. He can't just be a douchebag who's loud and drives a Porsche. My cultural touchstone for this is Office Space. The main character, Peter, he finds out that his girlfriend slept with his boss, Lumberg, who is, we find out throughout the movie that he's weak and this sniveling kind of guy. And the only way he can get over this jealousy is to learn that, who she slept with was, in fact, a different Lumberg. Because I think we all kind of get, as the audience, that if she did, in fact, sleep with his boss, then there would be something off about her. And that's what I mean when I say jealousy can have a legitimate core, when it serves as a moral alarm, right? Not just a function of your own insecurity. Because you think, you're just not the kind of person who I'd want in my life. If you found out she was in a suicide call, we're leaving the vehicle, that kind of thing. The point is, right, there's just a healthy archetypal drive behind the jealousy. We don't want to stamp it out. We don't want to get rid of it. We don't want to stomp it out in any way. We just want to strengthen our discernment of it. So when you find out something about her that would cause most guys to feel jealous, you just have a more detached attitude. Either, yeah, I guess you're just not the kind of person who I want in my life, or who really cares? We have our own connection now. We have our own thing going. And, besides, I slept with that one prostitute in Tijuana, and I spent, 5 years of my life tuned out on incest porn. It's a big, crazy world, and we're all just learning as we go. The other kind of retroactive jealousy I mentioned is body count, which I know I'm really offended too, but that's the question. Is a woman's body count, is it a reflection of her character, of her moral character, or your insecurity? Well, it depends on the resolution of your Madonna-Whore complex. If it's unresolved, then you can see women as either Madonnas or whores. It's a kind of splitting. So you meet a woman and she's a whore, quote unquote, and she cannot be Madonna. No, I don't literally mean, whore. Like, it's not literally Madonna, of course. If this complex is resolved, then you can see woman as both a Madonna and a whore, and each one is equally valuable. In fact, you need both. Both attributes need each other. The last thing you want is a mother who is sexually repressed. We'll go through one step in resolving this issue in a bit. But yeah, it's a big aspect of our cultural divide now. The right worships Madonna, the left worships whore. Both need therapy. But the point is, it's not about her, right? It's about you integrating the two aspects within yourself. Anyway, I did a video on the body count topic. I'll link it in the description. But yeah, go ahead and judge by body count. But the huge disclaimer here is, do not dump your baggage onto it. Otherwise, you're going to end up breaking up with a girl who could have united your universe. I mean, to put it mildly. And you'll do it. You'll break up with her for no other reason than your own wussiness. And you may never allow yourself to see something like that. In fact, you may even fabricate entire worldviews to keep yourself from seeing something like that. And even if there is a legitimacy to body count, and I think there is, there are much better gauges of a woman's character, like her relationship with her dad, for instance, her presence, her demeanor, her vibes. Yes. How she laughs at your jokes. That requires discernment, which requires you develop an inner discernment. We're going to go through how to do that. But, it's just much easier and more fun to get obsessive about a number, which she probably doesn't even know anyways. But, we'll save that for another video. So let's go to how to work through your retroactive jealousy. One step in that process. First, though, let's go to the pattern of the neurosis, the loop, as we say. You see retroactive jealousy there in step 4. And there's 3 steps to get there. The first one is anger, which is an emotional response you have to a healthy need, a need you have for no other reason than you have it. The second step there is anxiety, which represses the anger, the healthy need. I mean, that's in the maladaptive, neurotic loop. In the adaptive, integrated loop, the anxiety helps you focus on your need. I mean, there's just been a lot of research on flow states, and that's what happens. The third step is isolation. Objectively, you are isolated. If you repress your healthy need, then you are isolated. With isolation comes shame, and then to the payoff to save you from the stress built up, to distract you from the stress that builds up from steps 1 through 3. For you, it's retroactive jealousy, probably among other things, and then to the belief that is informed by steps 1 through 4, generally something like, I am not good enough, or I don't have the right to exist. So, finally, how do we process this issue? First, to the facts. Here's a scenario I thought of. You first simply need to lay out the facts clearly. Even this can take a while. But yeah, here's a scenario I thought of. My girlfriend used to date this guy who has a cool job. He's like a stuntman or something, and he dumped her. I don't really know if that's true, But that's kind of like what I infer. That feels true to me. We don't know if that's true. That's what feels true to you. And now she settled for me, this engineer. Just the facts. Then to how you feel. The feeling you have about these facts. Well, one potential feeling here could be insecurity. Just state the feeling. Then to the meaning of the feeling. What does the feeling mean about you? Not the environment, not the external circumstances. Again, that's therapy culture. What does it mean about you? Well, it could mean that you lack masculinity, that you're a boring beta male. I think in general, a meaning here would be something like, I am unattractive. That's in there somewhere. We're just looking at the content of your mind. What's bolstering this feeling of insecurity? Then you ask why. Why am I unattractive? Well, you could just think of a list of things that any guy could do to be unattractive. You just circle the ones that you do. One of them could be, I don't stand up to my girlfriend. Keep asking why. Why? I don't want her to get angry. Why? I'm afraid of her anger. Why? I exist to make women happy, or at least appease them, or at least keep them from getting upset. We're just looking at, again, what's going on in your mind that informs this feeling. Then to your responsibility, not for the situation. We may get there, but first we need to take responsibility for the feeling you have about the situation. And the way we do this is to look at your payoff from the feeling, how you contribute to the feeling, and how you relate if there's a conflict anywhere. So to the payoff, how does this feeling serve you? Well, my insecurity protects me from having to connect with my girlfriend in a deeper way. I can just sit back and run game on her and feel like I'm in control. Feeling like you're in control is a pretty sweet payoff, if you're feeling insecure. Then how do you contribute to the insecurity? What do you do that makes your insecurity worse? Well, I scroll, rip dudes on Instagram and feel like a fat idiot. Maybe a little confused even, right? And then how do you relate with the conflict here with your girlfriend? So how do you relate with your girlfriend? And the way you do this is you just look at the situation your girlfriend is in and just try to be charitable. My girlfriend is in a situation in which her boyfriend's emotional baggage is getting in the way of connecting, of having a healthy relationship with her. Do you relate with that? Well, yeah, my mom is an alcoholic, and it was the most frustrating thing in my life, and it still is. Okay, so frustrated. That's all we're doing. We're simply relating with how your girlfriend must feel. Frustrated. Nothing else. And then to the final step, how would you communicate this feeling of insecurity to your girlfriend if you absolutely had to, hypothetically? Well, hypothetically, you could just come right out and say it. Hey, girlfriend, you used to date this guy and you went to all these cool parties. You met Kevin Durant and here I'm this mid-level tech guy at Simply Safe, right? I mean, it's at that point, you don't even need to say the word insecurity. Or you could look at something you brought up in the process, like, I don't like saying certain things to you because I'm afraid you're going to get angry. I'm even afraid of saying this because of what your reaction might be, right? Or you could simply talk about how annoying it was to have an alcoholic mother growing up. It was like one long episode of AbFab, make it funny. All tragedy is hilarious. The point here, though, it's not about her. It's about you. Here's what's going on with you. And you're able to communicate in this way because what you say and how you say it implies that you are responsible for what's going on with you. That's how you create a boundary, a self, an identity. You relate with yourself so you can relate with others in a healthier way, eventually, on your own time. Connection, boundary, identity, in that order. And with an identity, you can have your own life. You're no longer your girlfriend's sidekick. You have your own thing going on. You no longer need to split to protect yourself. You can cultivate discernment. And gurus, they're going to tell you that the only antidote to retroactive jealousy is to have your own life going on, to have a mission, and they're right. But that's not going to happen without something more fundamental, without a certain pattern of communication and the identity that it builds. That first requires you identify what's going on with you. So that's retroactive jealousy. It's how the one fundamental neurosis presents itself to you based on your unconscious baggage, maybe temperament too, whatever. And that's true of any neurosis or problem for that matter, is you don't try to stop it. You don't try to get rid of it. You listen to it. It's trying to tell you something. It's not always obvious. You need to decode it. To learn more about how to decode it, check out my new book, The Therapy Manifesto, link in the description. It goes deeper into the process we went through a bit today. It breaks it down why these must necessarily be the steps, the principles, the foundation of therapy. And it goes through how to apply them more specifically. And if you'd like to work with me one-on-one, join animus.com/schedule. Let me know what's going on. I can let you know if I help. I can tell you more about what I do. And if nothing else, my aim is simply to steer you in the right direction. So thank you for being here until the end. If you want to check out the body count video I did, I'll link to it here and point to it, like a monkey. And I wish you all the pain and joy that comes from taking back your projections. It'll mostly be pain, but the good kind.